Hello, everyone. First, I was going to do a bit of a Q&A stream because I wanted to see what people, if people had any questions. I guess that's going to be open to, I don't know, chat, asking any questions they might have. But I decided that was going to be a bit shitty. So I wanted to maybe include one of those political tests and all that bullshit that VTubers usually do. Maybe this is a way of me showing that how much of a Nazi I really am, because I keep getting called a Nazi on Twitter, so might as well check my political compass to see how much or how accurate the people calling me a Nazi are. And let's go with that. But first, I did put up a link of my marshmallows on Twitter, so you can use that to ask questions. I won't be checking them on stream right now, but I did have two questions that I wanted to check out, and they are pretty old. One of them was from a year ago, so I'm going to go into that. Give me a second. Oh. Okay. So I got this question 1 year ago, and someone decided to ask me how long until Gunrun would Epstein himself. Sadly, I wish he would have done that, but it doesn't seem like he will face any sort of damage from what he did to VShojo as a company or to any of the talents. It's sad that this is the way things are when it comes to VTubing, where you can steal money, steal $500,000 from a charity and not pay it. And then you can just claim that you are either out of money or bankrupt and close everything down and run away. This is also what happened recently with that other merch company, Nova something, which a bunch of VTubers got scammed. So I wish there was some sort of legal action, and I wish these people would actually go to jail, because what they're doing is they're stealing and they're scamming. But it seems that nothing is going to happen, sadly. So I guess that was the first, well, it was the first question that I had on my list, but it's about a year old. And of course this one, which was the one that, based on this question, generally, why are you a racist, is that I decided to maybe take one of those quizzes or tests that VTubers take, and hopefully let's see how much of a racist I actually am. Let's see. First, I was gonna go with the personality test, the Briggs and Myers 16 personalities. This shit is like one step above the horoscope, I guess, because it's really, I think it's kind of flimsy actually. But I mean, let's go over it and see what the hell I get. You regularly make new friends. I'm not the type of person that goes out of my way to make friends. I just talk to random people, and I just show up whenever I get invited to something. And somehow I don't feel like I try to make friends, but I am fairly honest, and people like that, and people tend to gravitate towards me due to that. So even though I don't want to make new friends, or I don't really look for it, people like me being fairly, I guess, honest, which is not something you get nowadays. And even more so when it comes to VTubing. You're constantly hearing about people backstabbing each other. So yeah, that's that. So I guess I'm gonna put almost in the middle. They even have flags for these personalities. Oh, they do? Amazing. So I guess they're now the new sexuality, I guess. Do you enjoy exploring unfamiliar ideas and viewpoints? This is interesting. I'm a bit weird when it comes to this type of things, because I am open to many things, but at the same time I like to plan out what I'm going to do. Yes, the psychopath test. So I usually plan out things fairly carefully. And if I don't see that if I don't see that something is well planned, I tend not to do it. So while I might say I'm open to new experiences, if I find out that it's a bit inconvenient to do that experience, I might not go out of my way to do it. So I'm just gonna go fairly with disagree. Usually the ends, the agree or the hard disagree, I usually don't use those unless it's something I'm really confident or really set in stone and into if I agree or disagree with it. More often than not, I stick to the options in the middle. So you're definitely a person who tends to stick by themselves. Yeah, I would say so. I mean, look at my previous Japan travels. I've decided to go by myself because I don't want anyone else there to maybe influence me or change my experience, because I want to do what I want to do. I don't want to rely on other people. So yeah, I tend to be fairly a bit of a loner, I guess. But I mean, it is what it is. You're not easily swayed by emotional arguments. Yeah. I mean, I might feel sad for someone when they just cry a bit and they give me their sob story. But deep down, I don't really care about that. Or at least when I'm trying to take a decision or trying to make a decision, I try to separate what's the emotional aspect of a problem, and then I try to look at the more logical or more rational part of the problem, and I tend to look for the rational solution instead of the emotional one. So I'm gonna go with hard agree on that one. I struggle with deadlines. Well, if you have seen my YouTube channel and my upload schedule, you will see that that's a big agree. Although it depends. When it's something for me, then I am more likely to just not care that much about it. But when someone else relies on me to do something for them, I am way more diligent and I do things for others rather than doing them for myself. You rarely feel insecure. I'm gonna go straight neutral on that one, because I tend to flip-flop around, or I do a bunch of thought experiments, but I wouldn't call it insecurity. I mean, I say and do shit all the time that a bunch of people wouldn't do, but I do it more because I don't really care about things instead of actually being insecure. No, I don't know if I'm explaining myself right with that one. But again, if I don't do something, it doesn't seem to be out of insecurity. It tends to be more out of me maybe not seeing that, or maybe not wanting to go out of my way to do that thing. So I don't think I'm insecure, but at the same time, I don't think that I'm secure either. I'm just flip-flop everywhere. And it all depends on the situation. You avoid making phone calls. Yes, I do avoid making phone calls, but it's not because I'm scared of it. It's just I don't like talking to people that much, especially if I know they're gonna start talking way more than I want to talk to them. This happens with my grandmother. I mean, I love my grandmother, but whenever I talk to her, she starts going on about everything that's happening to her and her day and everything like that. And I don't really care that much, let's be honest, to listen to what she's doing on a day-to-day basis. So I try to avoid calling her, which sounds kind of shitty, but it's more that, I mean, I don't avoid making it. I would rather just text someone, and I feel it's less personal and it's more to the point if you do that. So I'm not gonna say I avoid it completely, but I don't like it. 2 out of 10. Let's see. Do you enjoy debating ethical dilemmas? I would agree. I like to play devil's advocate a bunch of the time. It's sometimes a bit annoying and it sometimes gets used out of context, but I mean, it is what it is. Do you prioritize being sensitive over being completely honest? And I fully disagree with that one, as I've explained before. Hey man, you only get one. Yeah, I mean, I spend time with my family, but when it's talking by phone, I don't want to be listening to. And it used to happen with my grandmother on my father's side. She was fairly senile, and she would just rant over just random bullshit. And again, it's not something I can really reply to or do anything about, so it just felt pointless and a waste of time. So yeah, but I would agree. Spend time with your family if you can. Spend time with your grandparents if you can. Spend time with their parents if you can. Of course, if you are in a good relationship with them. But talking to people on the phone again, it's not. I feel like it should be more transactional. And it also happens with my parents. My parents usually randomly call to just talk to me about what's going on in my life that day or something. And I feel like it's a waste of time. I want my parents to call me if they need something from me, or if they I mean, yeah, basically that's it. If they want something from me or they need something from me and they need it right now, then sure, call me and ask me for something. But if not, just send me a text or whatever. Your living and working spaces are clean and organized. Fuck no. My living and working space is my bedroom, basically. And it's a goddamn mess. It's full of boxes, full of books, full of paper, and just random clothes on the floor. It's a mess. I've been saying I'm going to pick everything up and I'm going to like organize my room for about 2 years now, and I haven't done shit. So, yeah. You often feel overwhelmed. Yeah, sometimes, but it depends. I'm not that good of a multitasker, which is funny considering I'm trying to do this whole VTubing thing and I have to read chat and talk and interact with stream. And honestly, I kind of suck at that. Also, when I play games like League of Legends, I play League of Legends. Sorry. But when I play games like that, I often have a hard time focusing on the map, which is on the lower right-hand corner of the screen. I tend to hyper focus on what's going on in the center of the screen, and it might get a bit overwhelming if too many things are going on. Yes, League of Legends. I am a VTuber, sadly, and I have to play the League of Legends games by default, I guess. It comes with the territory, I guess. Do you enjoy participating in team-based activities? Fuck no. I'm not gonna say like full no, because I have had really good experiences on team-based activities, but I mean, you should not overlook my League of Legends usage. I might even play one of these days. It's gonna be horrible. But yeah, participating in team-based activities. Let me a bit of a story. I used to go to I did college for a while, and when I was getting my master's degree, every single project was a team-based project. And I did manage to find a good group of people that were like me. They were like loners, but they would do their stuff. I mean, we would assign everyone would get a specific task, and they would do their task. We would communicate by text, and everything would work perfectly. But there were times where I couldn't pick my own team, and that's when the problems started to happen, because people had different schedules, people wanted to do whatever the fuck they wanted, and it was a mess. And at the end, back then, I didn't have, I wasn't working, so it would usually all fall back on me to do whatever the hell everyone else did not do. If not, I would flunk, and I ended up doing way more than I had to do. So for that, I don't like team-based activities, but it's more because I don't trust a bunch of the people that I often have to work with. Do you enjoy experimenting with new and untested approaches? I guess yes, in a way. Going back to the League of Legends analogy, I do like playing off the meta builds and things like that. But when it comes to me in my real life and maybe doing things differently, I tend to go more for the approach that I know that's gonna work and it's gonna give me the results that I want. But just for the sake of maybe in a gaming sense, I'm gonna say agree. You've done the same. I made sure they didn't get credit. I would have done that if that would have been an option. But where I used to go to college at, they basically told us that they didn't care about anything except the final product. So any sort of problem we might have, and we usually had to make an oral presentation for every single work we had to do, every single assignment we had. And if we had someone in the presentation that didn't do a good job, everyone else would get fucked over. So they basically set us up for just they basically set us up to carry the dead weight, which is kind of retarded and kind of bad, because again, you're supposed to be in college, you're supposed to be teaching people how to work in certain scenarios, and what you're teaching them is carry the dead weight and make sure that the person that didn't do shit gets the credit, which sucks. But I mean, again, I didn't want to fail, so I ended up taking on the work and carrying people that didn't need it. When we did presentations, I let them stew in front and they couldn't answer a damn thing. I mean, yes, we usually did that to show that the person was not prepared, but we also had to step in and maybe answer that question that they didn't know or that they couldn't answer. Because of course they didn't read the literature, they didn't do their work, they didn't know what the fuck was happening. So of course they couldn't answer the questions. But we usually ended up having to step in and fix things for them, because if not, everyone else would get screwed over. You prioritize facts over people's feelings. Yes, that's a hard agree. You often allow the day to unfold without any schedule at all. That's, I'm gonna say hard disagree, but I'm gonna go bit on the middle, because I like to plan things out. Is college necessary for getting a successful job? No, it's not. And sadly, it used to be maybe 2 decades or 3 decades ago. And maybe there are some specific fields that you are required to get that piece of paper. But honestly, I feel like I spent, what was it, like 7 years of my life getting 2 degrees, and it did not really do anything for me. And it has not helped me at all in finding work. And nothing I have worked in has been related to what I ended up studying. So if you're going to go into medicine, yes, or maybe some type of work that's like that, maybe engineering. Again, I don't think you need college to be an engineer. You just need to know your math and just basic knowledge of certain things. Because again, I work with engineers and they're not that great, and they don't know what the fuck they're doing or saying half of the time. Despite having zero experience. Well, I mean, I had experience on the field, but I did not have experience in college. And some people that were engineers were doing and saying things that were not really correct. I worked doing inspections, housing inspections and construction. And I can tell you that many of them, I mean, maybe it was because they were lazy and they didn't want to do they didn't really want to do the work. But there were places where I would expect that there was structural damage, and if you wanted to fix a place up, of course you will have to fix the structure. And this is something that I would constantly find, or I would learn about during my inspections, because the person in the previous inspection, who was usually an engineer, did not really pinpoint that problem. They just looked at the superficial things to just fix. I got a bachelor's in psych and the tech field. I figure out no one has common sense. Yeah, that's true. So I get deal with people that can use PowerShell. I'm not sure what PowerShell is, but yeah, you're gonna find that there's a bunch of people that they are classroom smart, or they can do well in tests, but they have just complete lack of common sense, and sadly, that seems to be the majority of people out there. So they might have a bunch of degrees, they might have a bunch of titles, but they don't really, they kind of suck. You rarely worry about whether you make good impression on people you meet. Honestly, I couldn't give a fuck about if people like me or not. You feel comfortable just walking up to someone you find interesting and striking up a conversation. Gonna leave it neutral because it's gonna be hard to me to just go in and strike up a conversation with someone I don't know. Usually, there has to be something there for me to talk to someone. There has to be some sort of connection. Maybe we like a video game, we like a certain topic or something, and maybe then I might strike up a conversation. But I mean, it says find someone interesting, but I mean, I don't know. I tend not to talk to too many people, so I'm gonna just leave it at neutral. No, it is what allows you to run scripts, the most basic lazy stuff. Okay, I'm not sure about PowerShell or how the script things work. You're not too interested in discussion about various interpretations of creative works. Yeah, I'm not gonna hard agree, but if there was a topic at school that I did really, really bad at, was whenever we had to discuss poetry, and I would hate it whenever they would talk about colors and meanings, and deep down you would know that the person who wrote that just liked a certain color and mentioned the color on the poem, but the teacher would just go on a rant about how that color meant, I don't know, loyalty or some bullshit. And honestly, I couldn't see that. I don't think people are that smart when they think, or when they wrote whatever poetry they were writing. And honestly, I would do terrible in those classes. I don't know how to interpret poetry, because to me it's all just bullshit, and the author or the writer just wrote something, and its meaning is often more literal than they want you to think. Or at least that's my opinion, but again, who knows? People's stories and emotions speak louder to you than numbers or data. And I am a numbers person, but at the same time, I consider stories as a fairly accurate representation of things. So to me, I can use stories, maybe not emotions, but if someone says a story, I can use that as data. And anecdotal evidence to me is still evidence, even though sometimes people don't like to count on it. And of course, anecdotal data can be changed or can be exaggerated. So there's a problem with that. But at the same time, if I know the person telling me a story is being truthful, or I know that they are honest, then I can look at that anecdotal data and use it almost as if it was number on a graph. So I tend to value personal stories, but not more than data. So I'm just gonna leave that at neutral. Poets just try to squeeze in things. Yeah, I agree. Poets tend to make shit up as they go. Diego, let's see if you know what command prompt. Yeah, I know what command prompt is, but I rarely use it. I only use command prompt whenever it comes to ripping the YouTube DLP attachment thing that you use to put the URL with some random script, and it pulls the video and saves it into your computer. And because I used to do editing and clips, that's what I used to do to get my source material out of the streams. But other than that, don't ask me about the scripts themselves, because I really suck at those. See, you actively seek out new experiences. Again, I don't seek it out, but I mean, I'm not closed off to them. You're prone to worrying that things will take a turn from the worse. That's... I'm not gonna say I fully agree with it, but I really agree with that, because I like to think... People say that I'm negative, but I like to plan things out and usually expect the worst. That's why I'm going back to the Japan trip that I did. I reserved a hotel close to the airport for 2 days, because I knew that maybe if the flight got delayed or something, I could have some time and maybe fix shit over here in the US and maybe find another trip or another flight. And that way, if I went to Japan, I didn't have everything booked so tightly that if something bad happened, it would fuck up the whole trip. So I tend to think about worst case scenarios whenever I'm planning things. You enjoy solitary hobbies and activities? I'm gonna say not fully agree, because again, I have a group of friends which I do gaming with, and that's always more fun than doing them by myself. But I do tend to enjoy hobbies that I can do by myself. Things like Gunpla. I love Gunpla, and I'll go with that. You cannot imagine yourself writing fictional stories for a living. I disagree. I mean, I think at least as a child, I used to have a fairly wild imagination, so it is whatever. I think I could write a decent story if I try, but probably not gonna do it. You favor efficiency in decisions, even if it means disregarding some. Yes, fully agree. You prefer to do chores before allowing yourself to relax? No. Sadly. I mean, I would prefer to do it, but the reality is that no. I procrastinate way too much, and I leave things for the last second, and that usually comes back and bites me in the ass. In disagreements, you prioritize proving your point over preserving the feelings of others. Yes, hard agree. I have ideas for good stories, but I'm not a writer. Exactly, I could have good ideas, but again, I'm not a writer also. You usually wait for others to introduce themselves first at social gatherings. Yeah. Your mood can change very quickly. Not really. I'm fairly dry and emotionless, so I don't really have like mood changes. And even when I get mad at something, it doesn't last that long. So I usually have like a very neutral, you can say my mood is very neutral, or just plain. I don't know how do you explain it, but I don't have that many mood fluctuations. And even if my mood changes, it usually goes back to that standard neutral. You usually feel more persuaded by what resonates emotionally with you than by factual arguments. No. Again. Why the hell does this shit keeps asking me about factual arguments and emotions? You have to end up doing things at the last possible moment. Yes, sadly. And it's probably my biggest handicap is that I tend to leave things for the last moment. Oh. My advice, don't do it, because often if something can go wrong, it might. Case in point, I had a class back in college where I was supposed to hand in something. Let me see how I can explain it. I don't want to dox myself too much. I had to make a scale model for a class, and I left it for the final moment, and then I ended up stabbing myself with the knife used to cut the cardboard, which it went into my bone, and it basically uh, screwed up my finger up, and I couldn't use the whole finger for about a week, and that was not good because I couldn't finish my project and I failed the class. So yeah, fun times. Hi, I hope everyone's doing well. Hi, DFW. You prioritize and plan tasks effectively, often completing them well before the deadline. Again, I plan effectively. I don't prioritize, and that's a problem. So I'm going to say disagree. You usually prefer to be around others rather than your own. Disagree. Do you become bored or lose interest when the discussion gets highly theoretical? That's a hard disagree. When facts and feelings conflict, you usually find yourself following your heart. I guess yes, because I mean the person at the end of the day, the person that I trust the most with a decision is myself. So if there is a conflict between facts and feelings, then I'm going to maybe make the decision based on my feelings towards that conflict in specific. If you find it challenging to maintain a consistent work or study schedule. I disagree. I'm good with schedules. The problem is I never do them, but whenever I have a schedule, I usually stick to it. You rarely second guess the choices that you... that's a disagree, but not a hard disagree. Yeah, I'm a feeling haver. I'm a queer. Your friends would describe you as lively and outgoing. No, my friends would describe me as being dead inside. Oh yeah, that's gonna be a disagree. You are drawn to various forms of creative expression, such as writing. I'm not really drawn to it, so I'm gonna say disagree. You usually base your choices on objective facts. Yes. I'm gonna leave it in the middle because that other question about if there's a conflict, I go by the feelings and my feelings over that subject. You like to have a to-do list for each day? Depends. I usually like to have a to-do list, but not for each day. I like to plan things out and leave enough of a wiggle room in case things happen. Again, going back to my trip, I would usually look at the weather and see maybe which days I could do certain things that would require me to be outside. So if it was raining, of course I wouldn't do that thing. But I tend to be fairly open to what I do or when I do it, whenever I plan things. I like to have that extra buffer zone wherever, in case something happens, I can adjust. So I'm gonna say disagree, but not. You usually stay calm even under a lot of pressure. I would agree. I usually start laughing, which gets everyone else pissed. You find the idea of networking or promoting yourself to strangers very daunting. I would say somewhat agree, but it's mostly because I don't like promoting myself. But it's not that I find it daunting. It's just I don't like it. Complex and novel ideas excite you more than simple and straightforward ones. That's gonna be a disagree. Usually I like things that work, and I like things that are fairly straight to the point. So I usually go for the straightforward answers. You can easily connect with people you have just met. Yeah, I guess. Your plans are interrupted. Your top priority is to get back on track as soon as possible. And that's where, again, I disagree. because I tend to plan in a way where I leave myself enough room to, if my plans don't go as planned, I have something else I can do. You're still bothered by mistakes you made a long time ago. I could say, yeah, I usually think back a lot on times that I have fucked up. I go with that. You're not too interested in discussing theories on what the world could look like in the future. I disagree. Again, I like that mental masturbation where you start to theorize about a bunch of random shit. Your emotions control you more than you control them. That's a hard disagree. When making decisions, you focus more on how the affected people might feel. No, fuck the affected people. Your personal work style is closer to spontaneous bursts of energy. I would say yes. I would say that when it takes, as I said, it takes me a lot to get started on something, and I like to procrastinate. But once I do start on something, I usually just power through it and finish it. So I guess you could say it's like a spontaneous burst of energy versus organized effort. When someone thinks highly of you, you wonder how long it would take for them to feel disappointed. All the time. Pretty questionable question. Get out of jail for cards. Yeah. You would love a job that requires you to work alone most of the time. I would agree. You believe that pondering abstract philosophical questions is a waste of time. I disagree. I think there's always time to just think about random shit. If you feel more drawn to busy, bustling atmospheres and quiet, intimate places. I would say yeah, I would agree. I like more calm environments. I don't like the things are too crazy. And even in the city, when again going back to my trip, whenever I would plan things out, I would go to eat usually earlier than the rest of the people went to eat, because that way I would avoid crowds, and I would have to deal with just I hate waiting for things, and I hate maybe just doing or waiting in line for something. So I tend to not like when places are crowded or full of people. The bamboo forest, which I went, I didn't go to the one that people usually go to because it's full of tourists. I went to another one that's like 2 or 3 miles away from that one that the people usually go to, and it was empty, and it was pretty cool. And honestly, if you like to travel and you don't like to be waiting in line or having to deal with a bunch of people, I would suggest that you do that also. Especially in Japan, where every place you go to is going to be full. So try to go off the beaten path, and you might have a pretty enjoyable trip. At least that's my recommendation. I know that some people don't like that. People like the hustle and bustle of the city. People like just being surrounded by a bunch of other people, but to me, that's not fun. You feel more drawn... Oh, wait. Yeah, that's a hard disagree. And yes, you normies, it's something that I often think about. If a decision feels right for you, you often act on it without needing further proof. Goes back to the feeling things. The thing is, if something feels right to me, it usually is because previous experience I had with that same thing. So this goes back to the lived experience question. So it's not something I tend to do, but I sometimes do it. If something feels right, yeah, I go for it. But that's usually because there's something that happened before that makes me believe that that certain or that specific thing that I'm going to do is the perfect or the best way to tackle a problem. Even a small mistake can cause you to doubt your overall abilities and knowledge. Yeah, I don't get one guide usually, but if I fail at something that can kind of fuck me over. You complete things methodically without skipping over any steps. Sadly, I'm the type of person that's a bit impatient, I guess. And sometimes I tend to skip steps because I think I know what I'm doing, and that sometimes bites me in the ass. So I'm going to say disagree, but not that hard. You prefer tasks that require you to come up with creative solutions rather than follow concrete steps. No, I like concrete things because I know they work. You are more likely to rely on emotional intuition than logical reasoning. No. That's like the 5th question of the same type. You like to use organizing tools like schedules and lists. I fucking suck at scheduling things, and I suck at organization wise. I'm terrible, so I would like to, but I'm terrible at it, so I'm just gonna go with disagree. You feel confident that things will work out for you. That's gonna be a neutral for me. I'm not that confident when it comes to things. I try to prepare for the worst, but at the same time, I'm not expecting everything to work out. And fuck this. My gender, male, I believe. And logician. So yeah, apparently this is what I got. Introverted, intuitive, 25% thinking over feeling, prospecting over judging, which means easygoing and flexible. Yeah, that's about right. And turbulent, let's see, you like the stuff. Yeah, I guess somewhat. And I guess that's my profile, or whatever the fuck you call it. NTP, whatever the hell. I think I used to be something else earlier on when I took this test about 15 years ago. And I think it was the EN something. But things have changed. I'm a bit more neutral when it comes to some of the answers that I give. I used to be more extreme. So maybe that's what changed it. Let's see this. Autism spectrum. Let's see how much of an autist I am. I'm gonna say fairly high. I prefer to do things with others rather than my own. Slightly disagree. I prefer to do things the same way over and over again. I slightly agree. Try to imagine something I find very easy to create a picture in my mind. Yeah, I can rotate the apple. I frequently get so strongly absorbed in one thing that I lose sight of other things. So, yeah, I am very one-track minded. I hyper-focus on things. Again, going back to the League of Legends example, I focus on what's going on in the middle of the map, and I hardly ever look at the edges, which leads to me getting fucked over by the enemy jungler. Oh, yeah. Great. When I first took the questions, we're trying to be tricky and hide things, like called me an NTJ, but I'm not a master type. Do you forget to eat when you're that focused? I don't forget to eat. I mean, if I'm focused on something, I just like to stick to doing that. I can always eat later. And it's happened to me that I haven't eaten for like 24 hours because I'm just doing something else and I'm busy. But it's not that I forget to do it. It's just that I rather stick to what I'm doing, that stop what I'm doing and then pick it up back again. Because I know that if I stop it, I might not pick it up again. Or, I don't know. Kind of weird. I often notice small sounds when others do not. Not really. I'm not the sound artist person. Slightly disagree. I usually notice car number plates. No. Pay zero attention to that. To me, that's noise. Other people frequently tell me that what I've said is impolite, even though I think it's polite. Yeah, that happens often. I'm very honest, to the point where it's brutally honest. And some people don't like that or expect me to be like that. And for the most part, my friends enjoy that I'm brutally honest with them. So they know that I'm not gonna sugarcoat things just to not make them feel bad. So they can always come to me and ask me a question. But when it's someone that's not my friend, usually that takes them by surprise, because people, when you interact with someone that's not known to you, you tend to be a bit more soft on them, not as blunt, which I'm not. When I'm reading a story, I can easily imagine what the characters might look like. I definitely agree. The problem is, usually what I have in my mind about what the character looks like based on the limited descriptions of that character, whenever there's official art of that character and I then see it, it usually, or it normally doesn't look like what I initially imagined that character to look like. Which, that might be a problem, or that might be why I don't like the VTuber versus IRL thing. Because usually I have a picture of someone in my mind whenever I see them as a VTuber. And then when I get to see them IRL, or at least see their, usually their torso or their hair or something, it's usually very different from what I originally expected. I am fascinated by dates. No. If there is something I am terrible at, is dates and names. I don't remember names. I'm terrible with names. I know faces. I remember faces, but I don't remember names or dates. I mean, unless something big happens. Let's see. That's definitely disagree. I find social situations easy. I mean, yeah, I slightly agree, but it's because I don't really care about social situations that much. I'm gonna go with slightly disagree, I guess. I tend to be a bit awkward. Do you remember aliases more than actual names? Yeah. I still refer, there's a group of my friends, or which I've met IRL, but I still refer to them by their gamer tags, their Xbox gamer tags, rather than their real name. I tend to notice details that others do not. Yes, sometimes I do. I would rather go to a library than to a party. Not really. I'm not a fan of libraries. I find making up stories easy. I mean, yeah. I guess I could. I can rotate the apple, so I guess I can think up of a story to make. But it's not something I see myself doing often. I find myself drawn more strongly to people than to things. I slightly disagree with that one. I tend to have very strong interests, which I get upset about if I can't pursue. I don't get upset if I can pursue something, because I've come from a poor family, and there are many things, many hobbies that I always wanted to get into, and again, I didn't have the money for it. So it is what it is. I've gotten used to not being able to do certain things because lack of resources. So I don't. While I might have strong interest for something, I don't really get upset over it. So I'm gonna say slightly disagree. I enjoy social chit chat. No, not really. I kind of hate social chit chat. I like it when if you're talking to someone, it's because either you want to get to know them or something. It's not just random house of weather or shit like that, or what do you do or whatever. Well, I mean, what do you do is getting to know one. But I mean, yeah, I'm just gonna go with slightly disagree, I guess. When I talk, it isn't always easy for others to get a word in edgewise. No, but at the same time, I tend to interrupt people because I have learned that if you don't talk out or if you speak out, people are just gonna keep on going and they will ignore you. So sometimes it looks a bit aggressive when I interrupt someone, but I tend to do that. I'm gonna go with slightly agree, I guess. Miss Blackfire, hi. Yes, live stream for once or for fourth time, I guess. Hopefully, I'm gonna change my schedule a bit as things cool down at work. But I still haven't gotten off that the high season or high. How do you call it? Like a bunch of work and a bunch of shit is happening right now with a bunch of clients, and maybe at the end of August or maybe at the start of October, I might increase the number of streams I do per week, and I fix my schedule a bit up, because I'm currently only streaming on Thursdays because it's when I have a clear schedule, and I hope that might increase. I was thinking on Mondays and maybe Wednesdays, but I have to look at my schedule once everything clears up. I am fascinated by numbers. I don't care about numbers that much. I'm good at math, but I don't like numbers, so I'm gonna say slightly disagree. When I'm reading a story, I find it difficult to work out the character's intentions. Not really. Unless they make it that way. If they try to trick the reader on purpose, then yeah, of course. But if I can usually get a good read on people. I'm gonna say slightly disagree. I don't particularly enjoy reading fiction. I don't care. Oh man, I'm right now playing Power World, trying to breed to get to the perfect Iceland. If you start streaming more, I'm going to be fascinated to see what you do. Thank you. Have Power World. I haven't played it yet. I played it when it first came out, but I haven't been able to stick to it and actually play the full release. I might play it maybe later when I have more time, and whenever I just decide to pick up on let's say on my schedule, I might have a gaming day and maybe do Power World streams on that day. Unreliable narrator. Is it unreliable? I think some narrators make it that they purposely hide what a character's intentions are because they want to have that plot twist. And I mean, I don't hate them for it, but at the same time, I'm not gonna get mad at myself for not truly understanding the character or really getting what the character's intentions were if the author decided to hide that from me. Since you already own it, I definitely recommend you returning to it. It has so many cute, sexy files now. Yeah, I might have to go back to it, see if there's like a list of mods that I can use, and because usually mods end up fixing many of the problems from the base game. But I have to do bit of a research as to what is good to install or not. I find it hard to make new friends. Not really. But again, I don't particularly try to make new friends, and I don't consider online friends friends. I consider them more like acquaintances, I guess. There's actually not that many problems to fix. Like, I have not encountered any bugs. Yeah, I would imagine that they fixed most of the issues that the main game had. But still, there are mods that they give you the quality of life improvements that are not really there in the base game. Find it hard to make new friends. Let's say slightly disagree. I notice patterns. Yeah, sadly, I'm a pattern noticer. And that's why I get called a racist and a Nazi, I guess. Talk about statistics, I guess. Drug quality. Oh, okay. So you can increase the drug quality. That's nice. I used to have more time to play games, and I was against all those mods that gave you like increased drop rates and everything like that, and increased experience. But now that I don't have as much time to play games, I like mods like that because I can experience a game without having to deal with the heavy grind that usually comes with it. I would rather go to the theater than to a museum. You know what? Yeah, there are not that many, and given the quality of movies that are coming out, I would rather go to the fucking museum. The problem with the museum is that once you go to the museum once, you basically seen everything. Whereas the movie or the theater, you can see a bunch of shit in the movie theater. Not that I have, again, the last movie I saw was the Dungeons and Dragons movie, which was about, shit, it was like 2 years ago or 3 years ago. It does not upset me if my daily routine is disturbed. A little. It bothers me a bit. If I want to do something and I plan for something and that gets disturbed, then yes. Again, I usually tend to plan things out in a way where I try to leave space for something doesn't work out. Then fine. But if I have something planned for a specific day, and that specific thing gets interrupted, then yeah, that pisses me off a bit. Last movie I watched in theaters, something about ninja. I'm not gonna try to spell that, but normally otherwise I don't go to the theater. And I used to like the movie theaters, but the movies, the quality of movies that are coming out are just terrible. There's so little coming out that I don't really care to watch anything. Again, the last movie I watched was the Dungeons and Dragons movie, and that was because I was going on a date and the girl wanted to see it, so I was like, okay, let's go. I frequently find that I don't know how to keep a conversation going. Yeah, sometimes I get that awkward silence happening. Not great. The quality of movies shit. At least my country's movies are good. Yeah, lucky you. My country's movies suck. I find it easy to read between the lines when someone is talking to me. Yes, that's one of the few things I'm good at. I'm good at reading people. Paul Wes Anderson in an evil movie. What was that? I don't even know what that is. There was a Resident Evil movie. The last Resident Evil movie I saw was the first one, and I don't think I saw it in theaters actually. I think I rented it. I usually concentrate more on the whole picture than on small details. Yeah, I usually tend to look at the overall product, I guess, or the overall thing instead of focusing on details. Because what happens if I focus too much on the small details, that's all I end up focusing on, and then maybe the entire thing just gets ruined for me. So I have learned, even though I hyper focus on certain things, when it comes to enjoying maybe something, I tend to enjoy it as a whole instead of the different parts of it. I'm going to say, yeah, I slightly agree. I'm not very good at remembering phone numbers. I fucking suck at remembering phone numbers. I barely even know my own. So I'm gonna say yes. Those crappers enables Alice. You're all going to die down here. I don't even know which Resident Evil movie that is. Alice. Who the hell is Alice? Again, the only Resident Evil movie I've seen is the first one with is it Mila Jovovich or something like that? And that's just like 20 years old, I think. Maybe more. Recommendation, Ronald Barbarian. I'll keep that one in mind. I don't usually notice small changes in situation or a person's appearance. Yeah, I'm terrible at noticing small changes in people's appearance. I know how to tell if someone is listening to me, is getting bored. I can see when someone is getting bored, but I don't really care, so I just keep on going until I want to make or finish whatever I'm saying. Probably not a good thing, but I mean, I find it easy to do more than one thing. Oh, no, I'm terrible. I used to be better at it when I was younger, but man, as you get older, things just get worse and worse each time. And you're gonna notice that your skills kind of deteriorate as you get older. When I talk on the phone, I'm not sure when it's my turn to speak. Disagree. Because whenever I'm going to interrupt someone, I know that it's not my turn to speak. I just choose to do it anyways. I enjoy doing things spontaneously, not that much. I'm often the last to understand the point of a joke. Not really, unless it's a cultural thing. I'm gonna say hard disagree. Unless it's something really niche that I'm not aware of, I'm not gonna get it. But I usually understand jokes, especially the ones that with do you call it like crude humor. I find it easy to work out what someone is thinking or feeling just by looking at their face. Yeah, I think I do. If there's an interruption, I can switch back to what I was doing very quickly. Fuck no. I am good at social chit chat. I mean, I can do it, but I fucking hate it. People often tell me that I keep going on and on about the same thing. Yeah, I mean, my whole story revolves around like 3 things, which is like gaming, anime, and going to Japan. That's my life. Sadly, that's all I ever talk about. When I was young, I used to enjoy playing games involving pretending with other children. No, I hated pretending. Like I could do it, but I can rotate the apple, but I don't like pretending play when I was a child. I like to play with sticks and rocks and shit. I like to collect information about categories. Yeah, I like shit like that. I find it difficult to imagine what it would be like to be someone else. No, honestly, I like to put myself in the shoes of others whenever I try to think about what or why they're saying something. So I slightly disagree with that. I like to carefully plan any activities I participate in. Yes, I do. I strongly agree with that one. I enjoy social occasions. I mean, I don't know. Not a fan of them, but again, I can do them. I find it difficult to work out people's intentions. No, not really. New situations make me anxious. Yeah. I'm gonna say, yeah. It's fine not to be able to do chat. It can be awkward, especially if conversation dies. Yeah, I have that problem. I am a good diplomat. Oh wait, I skipped one. I enjoy meeting new people. I don't enjoy. I mean, it just happens. I guess. I don't care if I do. I'm gonna say slightly agree because I don't hate it, but I mean, I don't say I like it either. I don't know. I wish there was like a neutral option. I am a good diplomat. Yeah, usually I can try to play on both sides and act as a mediator. I am not very good at remembering people's date of birth. I fucking suck at that. I need something to remind me because I will remember. I have missed my own birthday a few times. And if it wasn't for people in my family calling me to tell me that it's my birthday, I wouldn't even know. So yeah. I find it very easy to play games with children that involve pretending. While as a kid, I didn't like pretending, I can play with kids and pretend. So I'm going to say, yeah. I've had family members, younger family members, who I have had to take care of, and I often play pretend with them because that's usually the preferred method of play. Yeah, same with birthdays. I love meeting new people because I love meeting interesting individuals and archive them in my mind. I mean, it depends, but many of the people I end up meeting tend up to be just very one-dimensional, and that kind of sours things for me a bit. And it's like I can meet new people, I can be friendly, I can interact with them, but if I guess if I could stick with the people I already know, I would rather stick with them than to go out and meet new people. And yeah, using your birthday as your code for your social security number, it's... Oh shit, what? I missed something. Oh, I missed one. I'm fascinated by dates? No. There we go. Let me ask something. I don't know what's in this test is. It's weird that I get bored of people when I learn everything about someone. No, I guess I don't think that's weird or that's odd. And I think part of the problem with relationships is that many people get bored of the other person because they've been living with them for such a long time that they basically know everything they are, or they know everything about that person and they get bored of it. And part of what I guess people have to learn to deal with is that you are going to end up getting bored of your partner at some point because they won't have nothing new to... that spark when you're first meeting them and they're very spontaneous, they usually tend to lose that with time. And I feel like many of the problems that come with marriage and with relationships is that spark gets lost. So I don't think it's weird that you can get bored of it, but I think if you want to have a long-lasting relationship, you have to be aware that that's going to happen naturally. Oh, my score was 24 possible 50. So I am, I guess, in the range where I might have some autistic traits, which is understandable. I am a functioning autist, I guess. I'm also of the mindset that an individual, like if a person is two-dimensional, in their taste or hobby. I get bored, but I don't really talk to them anymore. Yeah, I mean, that also happens. Sometimes you have certain friends, or I mean not friends, but people you talk with for certain topics, and that's it. So you shouldn't feel bad about that. Like, let me see. There's whenever I talked about anime, I only spoke to one of my friends that was like my anime friend, and everything that was related to anime was channeled through him. And I would speak to him and I would discuss things with him, and then I wouldn't really talk with him about anything else. So I mean that's kind of normal. So yeah, slightly autistic, I guess. And let's see, only it's been an hour. I might go until 11. This is the political compass, so let's see if I'm actually a fucking Nazi or not. Because I keep on getting called a Nazi, so that's always fun. Just a few propositions to start with, concerning no less about how you see the country and the world, okay? If economic globalization is inevitable, it should primarily serve humanity rather than the interests of transnational corporations. I agree. Actually, strongly agree. I always support my country, whether it was right and wrong, and that's disagree. This American version has cover answer and left. Yeah. If one chooses their country of birth, it's foolish to be proud of. Yeah, this is a fairly interesting point. If you don't choose your country, you being proud of it shouldn't be a thing. I mean, that the same thing with race. I'm not a fan of people saying that I'm proud to be black or I'm proud to be white. I mean, you were born white. Really didn't do anything to become white or become black. So that to me is kind of stupid. So I kind of agree. It's kind of foolish to be proud of something. At the same time, I mean, if you're born in a country and that country is known for I guess their morals or how they do specific things, and you participate in those things, then yes, you could be proud because you are participating in what that country stands for and you are a part of it. So it depends on how much effort you have to put that for me to know, or for me to accept the fact that you are proud to be something. If you're proud of something that you have no effort in, or you put no effort in doing, then what's the point of being proud? Our race has many superior qualities compared with other races. I mean, but is it a race thing, or is it a? I think it's a cultural thing. I don't think it's a race thing though. I'm gonna disagree. Again, I don't think the problem. Many of the problems, I don't think there are racial problems. I think they are more of a cultural problems than the racial. The problem with that is that, of course, in many cases, the race correlates with the culture sometimes. But I don't. And okay, I mean, you can make the argument that there are some racial differences, but at the same time, I don't think it's because of the race itself. It's more the culture, maybe, and other issues. So I don't know. I'm going to disagree slightly. I will be neutral on that one. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. I don't agree with that, but again, I think there's a high chance that if someone is the enemy of your enemy, that they could possibly stand on or would agree with many of the things that you agree with. But I don't think it's just like a black and white thing. I think for the most part, yes. And you know what? I'm gonna go with agree, but I don't think it's like a strong agree. Did you know it's 50%? Ooh. That's horrible. 60% tax bracket is, that sounds horrible actually. Not gonna lie. But I mean, I guess if the people using the tax, if the country is using the taxes for things that you agree with, then that's fine, I guess. I come from a country where the taxes get wasted on a bunch of shit. So the least amount of taxes I have to pay, the better it is for me. Corruption is fairly high where I live, so I hate taxes just for that. In an idealistic world, then sure, taxes would be great, but we don't live in an idealistic world, and I don't trust the politicians to do what's right. Military action that defies international law is sometimes justified. Hell yeah. There's now a worrying fusion of information and entertainment. I strongly agree with that, sadly. People are ultimately divided more by class than by nationality. Yeah, I somewhat agree with that. Controlling inflation is more important than controlling unemployment. No. Disagree. Because corporations cannot be trusted to voluntarily protect the environment, they require regulations. Yeah, sadly I agree. I think corporations only care about profits, and if left to their own devices, they would fuck everything and everyone over just to make more money. Thanks to those taxes that we have a strong welfare state where healthcare for the public is paid. I mean, yes, I would agree that I would like for good welfare programs to exist, but the problem is that the people that are often benefiting from this, from that welfare, are people that don't really deserve to benefit from it, and that's my main problem. Especially again where I live, where a bunch of people try to game the system to take advantage of that welfare, and they're not people that deserve it. So that's my issue. And yes, it needs actual oversight. Again, I will be way more quote-unquote socialist if things actually work like they should. The sad part is that, in my opinion, and from what I have seen, things don't tend to operate like they should. And often the people that don't deserve something or don't deserve getting that money or welfare are the ones that end up with it, sadly. I mean, I'm early tired, not able to work due to mental damage I suffer in my brain. I mean, yeah, that's in your case. I would agree. Then yes, welfare should help you deal with that, or should give you aid. But there are cases that people don't have that issue, and they pretend they do to try to take advantage of the system, and that's where I kind of draw the line. Because again, I have had to work with older people that really need these social programs to help them, because they cannot work, they're too old, they're handicapped, and I would love for those programs to help them out. But in at least again back to my reality where I live, there's a bunch of corruption, and people usually steal and take advantage of that welfare, which I would love for it to go to the people that deserve it and need it. But the sad part is that most of it doesn't. And that's why I'm kind of against those programs. From each according to his ability, to each according to his need, is fundamentally good idea. I mean, yeah, I would agree with that. And that sounds kind of commie as fuck, but the freer the market, the freer the people. Yeah, I somehow agree with that. Again, there are problems when you give too much freedom to many of these corporations. You end up with monopolies, and the people end up not being free. Right now I have saved and I'm very proud of 200,000 DDK. I'm not sure what DDK means. Donkey Kongs. That's what DDK means for me. It's a reflection on our society that something as basic as drinking water is now bottled, branded, and consumer. No, many of these places that have bottled water, you can still drink tap water. You can still filter that shit. So I kind of disagree. I think bottled water is in the majority of cases is like a luxury. It's not really a necessity. Of course, there are places like third world countries where that's not true. But I'm speaking of my reality. Land shouldn't be a commodity to be bought and sold. Strongly disagree. It is regrettable that many personal fortunes are made by people who simply manipulate money and contribute nothing to their society. I mean, yeah, it is regrettable, but at the same time, you have to learn how to play the game. It is what it is. Danish krone. Okay, oh, so it's your currency. I still like Donkey Kongs more than Danish krone, though. Protectionism is something necessary in trade. Not too sure what the hell that means, actually. I'm going to say agree. I'm going to assume it has to do with some sort of like a safety measures to protect, I guess, your investment or something like that. But fuck it, just go with that. The only social responsibility of a company should be to deliver a profit to its shareholders. Strongly disagree. Because often shareholders only want more of a profit each time. And they are not content with, or they're not happy with just having a profit. They just want more and more, and often that's what ends up killing companies. Look at Hololive, look at Cover, where it seems that in their, and I mean, Nijisanji also has done this, in trying to get as much of a profit they want, the product has declined, and the quality, I feel, has not improved. Yeah, shareholders can fuck themselves. I believe in that. The rich are too highly taxed. I disagree. I think they're taxed fine. I mean, hell, many of them find loopholes to get over or to basically get away with paying as least taxes as possible. I think it's fairly, everyone should pay the same, I believe. And it should be a percentage of your income. And yeah, there are some tax brackets that increase as you go up. And I feel that can be fair, but I don't think the tax bracket should be too different. It should be still a percentage of your income. And cut corners, yeah, I agree with the cutting corners. They have cut many corners, and sadly, honestly, I feel like Hololive is, I have lost interest in it due to their endless pursuit of profits, I guess. And in doing so, they have neglected some of their talents, which at the end of the day, their talents are the money makers. If you end up screwing up your product to appease the shareholders, then you're basically harming yourself, and that model is not sustainable. Those with the ability to pay should have access to higher standards of medical care. I agree. Sadly, I believe there should be a base for medical care. But I mean, if you have more money, sad to say, but yeah, you can do more shit with it. It's like that with everything. It doesn't have to be medical care. It's every single aspect of your life will be, I guess, compared to your money. The more money you have, the better things you're gonna get. Government should penalize businesses that mislead the public. Strongly agree. A genuine free market requires restrictions on the ability of predatory multinationals to create monopolies. Yeah, I strongly agree. I believe in a free market, but not fully free. There has to be some limitations. Because again, I don't trust corporations. Abortion when the woman's life is not threatened should always be illegal. Some people are gonna hate me for this. I kind of disagree. Because again, I'm not a fan of the state having to take over a child, and that child then going through the system. And again, I don't like abortion, but I don't think it should be illegal. It's a complicated issue, I guess, and not many are gonna agree with me. All authority should be questioned. Yeah. I mean, should be questioned. Doesn't mean you have to be retarded about it. And act out and chimp out in front of the cops. Even if the authority is doing something that's illegal, you should probably not resist. You should maybe fix that issue later on. It's better that you survive the encounter than you getting killed because what the cops are doing is wrong, but you decided to act out. That's something that not many people apparently do. Don't fight with the police because the police is always going to win. You fight with them after. An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. Sadly, I kind of agree with this. Taxpayers should not be expected to prop up any theaters or museums that cannot survive on a commercial basis. I don't know. Because things like parks and shit like that are public should be taxpayer supported. So that I disagree with that. I think there should be some public places that you can, or public things that you can do. And I think that's a healthy way of using your taxpayers to benefit, I guess, everyone at the same time. Strongly disagree it's the people's responsibility to take care of museums. I don't know, because many museums don't make enough money to be able to survive. I mean, on their own. I feel like museums serve a very important. They serve a very important purpose. I mean, you can serve history, you can serve art in it. Your history basically is there in a museum, and I feel like you need the state to maybe help out and subsidize some of the costs that will come with operating that museum. I think it's a healthy thing to spend your taxes on. It's not about making money. Museums exist to preserve, not fucking make. I mean, yeah, I do agree that museums shouldn't exist to make money. But that's, again, they don't make money. That's why I think that taxpayers should prop up those museums that won't survive. It's saying that it won't survive on a commercial basis. Meaning that it won't, they operate on a net negative. I'm not saying that they should make a profit. I'm just saying that they should make enough to stay afloat, I guess. Same goes for libraries. They should also not rely on money from purchase. No, I mean they should not rely on money from purchases, but it's good to have a fee, and it helps offset the cost of the taxpayer. Because again, not everyone is going to use that museum and that library, so everyone chips in a little bit and the people that use those kinds of places, like the museums and libraries, they chip in a bit more when they go in and they buy the books and things like that. I mean, that's at least what I think is fair. So I'm gonna strongly disagree with this. At the same time, I don't want a million museums popping up and museum curators getting salaries of freaking high level salaries. I mean, I don't think that's also fair. But yeah, they should just be given enough money for them to survive and operate. Not enough money for the people that work there to get richer of the taxpayers. Schools should not make classroom attendance compulsory. I disagree. Actually, I strongly disagree. I think part of, or I don't know. It's something that work, or I mean, when you're employed, you have to go to work in many cases. And making things like classroom attendance compulsory, it molds you and towards the future where you're gonna have to work and you're gonna have to go probably to an office. I'm not a fan of always having to go to the office, but I think it's good for you to have a place to go to work. All people have their rights, but it's better for all of us that different sorts of people should keep to their own kind. Yeah, I strongly agree. People should have some rights, but I mean, that only applies to that group of people. And if you're a citizen in that country, you should have the rights that go with that country. Why did it go? Oh, what happened? Oh, your message got auto deleted, I guess. By the way, the chat is an auto moderate, so maybe YouTube might pick up something and understand it kind of weird, and then auto delete it or something. I'm not deleting messages. All people have the rights, but it's better for all of us to have to sort of. Yeah, I mean, I don't agree. It'd be based on country to country basis. I have a question. Do you think more VTuber mainly looking at indie should go mainstream to the point where to get their own video games or TV show? I don't know. That's actually a good question. I like VTubing as its own thing, and I think maybe going a bit too mainstream might cheapen what it means to be a VTuber. And again, we have seen it happen with with the whole IRL trend and everything like that. There seems to be a bunch of issues, I guess. But I mean, it depends on what you want. Individually, if you want to do that, you want to go mainstream as a VTuber to appeal to more people, I think you are in your right to do so. At the same time, you shouldn't expect the more hardcore fans to like when you do that. Oh yeah, I never reply to people on mobile unless I'm on Twitch. On Twitch is easy because you can pick the name, but on YouTube it's a pain in the ass. Good parents sometimes have to spank their children. I strongly agree with that. I feel like the soft parenting thing doesn't work. I feel like there has to be... I'm not saying you should beat your kids for no reason, but sometimes if your kid fucks up, smacking them a few times, it fixes many problems. Or maybe I'm just a bit old school like that. It's natural for children to keep some secrets from their parents. I disagree somewhat. I mean, everyone is an individual. And I think kids should have like their own secrets. But at the same time, I don't think it's good for kids to have secrets from the parents. And I'm thinking more on the grooming side of things. So yeah, kids are gonna have secrets, and I do agree that it's anti-productive to force them not to have any. But I don't. It's a complicated issue. So I sort of agree with you that yes, kids should have their secrets, but I don't think there are some things that shouldn't be kept secret, especially when it comes to interacting with other adults. And I'm coming at it through the point of grooming. Clearly, there's a huge grooming problem. Kids get groomed everywhere, and often the parents don't even know about what's happening until it's too late. I mean, see, you sort of agree with me then, because yeah, you sometimes did things that you did not want your mom to know about, but eventually you told her what you did, and I think that's a healthy thing. I don't. I mean, again, once you grow up, that's fine, but as a kid, it's better if you're telling your parents your secrets, I guess. But that's why I didn't go strongly disagree. I think it's natural for children to do it, but I don't think. You know what? I'm gonna change it. I'm gonna change to agree because I think it's natural for children to want to keep those secrets from their parents, but I don't think it's a healthy thing. That's gonna be my reasoning for it. Possessing marijuana for personal use should not be criminal. I strongly disagree. I don't really give a shit what you do, unless you're a child. But I mean, the only problem that I see with drugs in general is that if you are using them, you should be doing them in a place where it's safe for you to do it. You shouldn't be using them and then going out and interacting with the world because you might cause accidents and problems. It's very similar to alcohol. You can drink however much you want. I just don't want you going out and being retarded because you are impaired. The prime function of schooling should be to equip the future generation to find jobs. Damn. I somewhat agree. I don't think it should be the primary function. But the primary function is for kids to be independent. But part of being independent is having a job. Or, I mean, maybe you're not finding the job, but you're creating the job. So that's why I somewhat agree with that. Do you think that it would be worth a while for VTubers to invest in personal streaming websites so that they will have an easier time dealing with situations? Ideally, yes. I think it would be great if VTubers would invest in that. The problem that I have is that there have been many cases of many platforms popping up that are VTuber only, and the problem is that people don't support them. So I don't think it's realistic for that to happen. It would be nice, but again, people don't want to leave Twitch. Twitch keeps fucking them up, and they stay. And the same goes for YouTube. YouTube is being a bit retarded with their auto moderation, and people don't want to leave YouTube. I mean, hell, I'm on YouTube. And I think it's always good to maybe have a backup, right? Kick, probably, or Rumble. Those are the other two main ones that are there. But I don't see it feasible for a VTuber only streaming website, at least right now, sadly. Because I mean the market doesn't support it. In an ideal world, they would, but sadly they don't. And it's been tried many times before. I mean, there are like 4 or 5 examples of it, and it's failed every single time because people just don't want to leave Twitch. People with serious inheritable disabilities not be allowed to reproduce. That's a tough one, because Oh my god. You know what? Sadly, I'm going to agree with that. But again, it depends on what the disability is. Because the problem is, if you have a disability like that, I mean, I wouldn't want to force to like castrate someone or to, what do you call it, to just prevent them from having kids. But it should be discouraged. I don't think I think if you as a person are kind of fucked genetically, I don't think you should be spreading your genes. So. And in history, that was a thing because medicine and technology wasn't there to help these kind of people out. And these days, people that have these disabilities often end up reaching or living a fairly normal life, I guess, or maybe not normal, but I mean, at least they survive long enough that they could possibly reproduce. And at that point, you're kind of weakening the genetic pool by doing this. So, sadly, like morally speaking, I don't think it's the right thing, but I don't know. This is one of those science versus ethics questions, and I'm leaning towards more the science aspect, where I just want people to, at least I want the gene pool not to be diluted or fucked over, because people who have these disabilities are spreading them around. So yeah. If we're talking about like terrible heart condition or something like that, I mean that should be fine. I mean you're kind of fucking your children over, but I mean you're allowed to do that. But personally speaking, I wouldn't want that to be a thing. The most important thing for children to learn is to accept discipline. No, I think it's more important that they learn how to question things. I'm going to disagree with that. I think there has to be some discipline that they should learn, especially as they grow up. But at the end of the day, I think it's more important to question things than to just blindly accept things. Sub clips. We're talking extremely terrible heart condition immune system. Yeah. There are no savage and civilized people. There are only different cultures. I somewhat agree with that. The problem is that many of these cultures are tied to race, sadly. But I don't think that there's like a savage people, or it's just cultural thing. And I mean, of course, if there's people on the middle of the Amazon, or they don't have any contact, and they see other people, they're gonna act like savage or everything like that. But it doesn't mean that they're not civilized. It just means that they're not civilized to everyone else. And it's a cultural thing. I think. I don't know. This fucking shit is too complicated. Those who are able to work and refuse the opportunity should not expect society's support. I strongly agree with that. If you're able to work and you are not working, I don't think you should be benefiting from social support programs. Even in Denmark, when we were the most barbarian, yeah, I agree. Often people are not called civilized because you don't have the same culture as the other as the other person that's looking at you. But I think that there is some civility in that, and it's just a difference in culture more than anything. When you're in trouble, it's better not to think about it, just to keep busy with more trivial things. I disagree. If you ignore certain things, they're eventually going to stay there and they're gonna eat at you until you snap. First generation immigrants can never be fully integrated within their new country. I strongly disagree with that. Yes, there might be some barriers. I mean, I'm gonna hit disagree, not strongly disagree. there are gonna be some barriers, but you can integrate to a new country, especially if you come from a country that has a similar customs or ideals or culture. That said, when it comes to what we're seeing in the West, where a bunch of Muslim people are trying to come to the West, I fully agree that those people will never fully integrate with their new country, and they don't want to, because they're not looking to integrate, they're looking to take over. What's good for the most successful corporations is always ultimately good for... That's strongly disagree. No broadcasting institution, however independent is content, should receive public funding. Sadly, let's see. I'm gonna agree with that. I don't think we should publicly fund broadcasting into... Well, I mean, maybe one or two, but that's it. And it depends, because many of these publicly funded broadcasting institutions are getting fucked over by the whole culture thing. So I agree. I don't want my public or my taxes going towards an entity that is going to start spewing or saying shit that does not go with my values. And I agree with you. Yes, there should be maybe one or two radio stations or something like that, but I'm not a fan of... I mean, usually these state-funded broadcasts end up getting kind of fucked over by the whole cultural war thing that we're seeing. Our civil liberties are being excessively curbed in the name of counterterrorism. I somewhat agree. A significant advantage of a one-party state is that it avoids all of the arguments that delay processes. Yeah, I strongly agree with that. I'm not saying it's for the best, but yeah, if you only have one party, then you won't have that much disagreement. Or actually, I would even... I don't know. The idea of a dictator always is interesting, but as always, it never gets implemented properly. Will the electronic age make officials surveillance easier? Only wrongdoers need to be worried. I somewhat agree with this. I'm not a fan of cameras being everywhere, but I have come to realize that I don't think any of that surveillance that gets used is going to be used negatively against the vast majority of people. Have you ever seen Wilhelm Apologist? And if so, what are your thoughts on him? I don't know who that person is. Is that a YouTube channel? The death penalty should be an option for the most serious. Strongly agree. In a civilized society, one must always have people above to be obeyed and people below to be commanded. That sounds, I don't know. I don't see it as an obey and commanded, or as a people being above and below. Because people can be on the same level, but they have their own tasks to follow. I kind of disagree. I don't think there should be an above and below. Especially when many of the cases, the people above are not the best. Yeah, the flood cameras are kind of retarded, and many of the reports are horrible. I don't trust the whole flood system, but at the same time, I can understand why they're doing it. It's just that they've been fucking up way too many times. If there wouldn't be as many fuck-ups with the flood cameras, I wouldn't be against them. But as it is, they're fucked up. So, fuck them. Take them all down. Abstract art that doesn't represent anything shouldn't be considered at all. I strongly disagree. If you like something, it doesn't have to represent anything at all. You just like it and you just hang it in the fucking wall and whatever. Criminal justice punishment should be more important than rehabilitation. I don't know, because I think punishment is a big part of that rehabilitation. I'm gonna hit agree. But doing what they do in Norway, I think that they shove them off and put them on like an island, and they have like their little jail or something. It feels more like a vacation than actual punishment. And if you fuck something up, you should have to answer for your crimes. It's a waste of time to try to rehabilitate some criminals. Strongly agree. Some people should be put in a box, as Asmongold says. In my opinion, they should be tied to a brick and a bunch of bricks and thrown in the ocean. You know, people like Johnny Somali. And Johnny Somali's problem would have been fixed if Japan would have just tied bricks to him and thrown him in the middle of the ocean. The business person and the manufacturer are more important than the writer and the artists. Sadly, I think art and written works are a luxury. They're for entertainer. And while business person, I don't think it's that much of an important thing. The manufacturer are the ones that run or keep things moving. So I agree that manufacturing is more important than artists and writers. There should be space for everyone, but art and writing is a commodity and it's a luxury. You cannot rule a country with fear, you need to rule it with compassion. I think there has to be some fear there. Or at least the people have to know that if they mess up, there are going to be consequences for them messing up. Mothers may have careers, but their first duty is to be homemakers. I want to agree with it, but we live in a world where you basically need to have a dual income. I do think they're better at being homemakers, and I think nature has proven that. I'm gonna go with agree. Like, this is one of those things that I kind of agree with, even though I don't like that I have to agree with it, because society has forced me not to agree with it, in a way. Having not having a double income household is pretty tough these days. Subhula. Running tanks over students sure doesn't look like compassion, but the CCP is still in power. Yeah. Almost all politicians promise economic growth, but we should heed the warnings of climate science that growth is detrimental. I am very conflicted on global warming. I think we should do whatever necessary to minimize as much of an effect to to everything. As far as pollution goes and everything like that, we should minimize the negative effects we have on nature. But I feel like global warming thing is a bit too far-fetched, and it's being used poorly to push things that are not good for humanity. So, I'm gonna disagree with that. Making peace with the establishment is an important aspect of maturity. I somewhat agree with it. You don't have to like many of the things, but you have to understand that they're in place because that's how things work. Maybe there are better ways of making that thing work, but I mean, it is what it is, I guess. The amount of murders committed by Danish citizens is so low, and like it's per capita. I agree with you, Diego. Green energy is nonsense when there's so much nuclear power. I hate. At the same time, I do like solar energy. Solar energy has been at least where I live, has been a huge uh, helper when it comes to, because I mean our power grid is all fucked up, and people like my parents and my grandparents and some of my old elder family members have relied on solar, and it's been very effective. I mean, I don't mind people having alternate power sources. I do like I like wind, I like solar, I like things like that. Alternate sources are always good, and at the end of the day, I feel like maybe they're not better than coal, but they are a good, say, support, I guess, for the system. But I don't think what the climate change scientists are saying, I don't think it's, but they are pushing for some things that countries are fucking themselves over. Meanwhile, you have places like China and India that produce the most waste and they do the most harm to the environment, and nothing happens to them. So you're not gonna fuck yourself over and get run over by the people who are not they don't care about the environment. So I think it's more important for you to not screw yourself over. I mean, there has to be laws in place so that you minimize the effect you have on the environment. But I don't think the whole global warming thing is being pushed properly. I mean, hell, I'm fairly old for a VTuber, and ever since I was a child, they've been pushing that fucking. They've been pushing the whole global warming shit. And yeah, I do agree that lithium cells and the cobalt are kind of an offset to the solar. But I mean, fuck it. We're always gonna have some sort of waste. Oh wait, what's gonna be the other one? Astrology accurately explains many things. Strongly disagree. Astrology is bullshit. You cannot be moral without being religious. I strongly disagree. I am not religious, even though I grew up in a religious household. But I don't consider myself to be religious. And I feel like I am a moral person. Of course, my morality is centered around what I grew and my entire country is culturally Catholic, so my morals are centered around that, even though personally I'm not religious. Astrology doesn't explain shit. Yep. Astrology is racism for women. Charity is better than social security as a means of helping the generally disadvantaged. I disagree with it. I think charity is nice, but sadly, I don't trust people to do charity work. I think there should be some social security programs in place. And I think they should also be managed properly. Some people are naturally unlucky. Yeah, strongly agree with that. Sadly. It is important that my child's school instills religious values. I disagree. I don't think that's the school should be instilling religious values unless you go to a religious school. I think that's for you to do in your house and in your community. Charity is bullshit and it should be illegal. I mean, begging, I understand that begging is annoying, but I think that people doing charity work and doing things because they want to, I think that's good. There are many churches here that do that, and I think that is a net positive. The only problem, of course, comes with other people using that to strictly benefit from the charity of others when they don't need it. And sex outside of marriage is usually immoral. I disagree. I mean, outside the marriage, yeah. That only applies if you're not cheating. If you're married and you're having sex with someone else outside of your marriage, of course, I would think that that is strongly immoral. But I don't think that having sex outside of marriage is strictly immoral. I would like if people would do it with people that they have a relationship with and they are looking to get married to. But I don't have a moral issue with people fucking around, I guess. A same-sex couple in a stable, loving relationship should not be excluded from the possibility of child adoption. I agree. Even though there are many cases of same-sex couples who have, let's say, problems when it comes to child adoption and what they do with that child. Pornography depicting consenting adults should be legal for the adult population. Yeah, strongly agree. You do whatever the fuck you want if you're old enough. What goes in a private bedroom between consenting adults is no business of the state. Strongly agree. No one can feel naturally homosexual. That's a hard disagree. Of gay people that are strongly gay. At least some of them that I know. And we've known before they were open about their sexuality. It's like we knew that dude was gay from day one. So I strongly disagree with them with that. I think people can be naturally homosexual. I don't think it's the majority. I only think it's a small percentage, but I think there is a percentage of that. That should be something you actively do before you marry, because the worst thing that can happen is get married. Yes, I do agree with you. Being sexually incompatible with someone else is a way that you can ensure that your marriage is going to go south. And I would possibly agree that people should be aware and open about their sexuality and even have sex with the people they're trying to marry before they do so. Because that never ends well if they are not compatible. And it's better that they don't get married and find out later that they're incompatible. I would rather have them find out before they get married. These days, openness about sex has gone too far. I somewhat agree. There are many things that we don't need to know about. People are a bit too open with their sexual experiences. And maybe some things are better kept in private. That said, I'm not against consenting adults doing whatever the fuck they want. I just don't want to know, or don't really care to know, what you do in your bedroom. So let's see. Well, so I am on the authoritarian and libertarian side. I'm on the middle, and on the economic scale, I am more left-leaning than right. And I get called a Nazi for some reason. They think I'm up here. So yeah. So yeah, I usually tend to be more towards the center. In some aspects, I think this didn't cover some of the economical things that I wanted to cover. Things like immigration and things like that, I tend to lean way more right than left. But yeah. That's my political compass. That's I'm gonna post this later on Twitter for everyone that calls me a Nazi. And it's 11:04. I was going to go close this one. Oh shit, I closed. My bad. Oh shit. I'll open it later. Fuck it. I was gonna go over the tag list. But it's getting late. And I had to prepare for tomorrow because I have work. And one of my clients is being an asshole. So I'm going to leave that one for another day. Oops, my throat is all fucked up also. So I'm gonna do this wonderful tier list. maybe next week. And remember that shit I said about you not knowing what people like when it comes to sex? Well, I'm about to break that shit because this is degenerate as fuck. But I'm a VTuber, so I'm allowed to do that. But whoops. But with that, thank you for coming to the stream. I'm gonna be ending soon. And let's see. I think I'm a little lower than you, Libertarian. Fine. But isn't this funny, man? We both left this left center. So many people don't understand what it means to be. People just say things. That's the reality we live in. People are just saying whatever the fuck they want. Words don't have any definitions anymore. They will call you anything as long as they can smear you just because they don't like something you have said. And more often than not, you agree with them on a political level than what they think. But yeah, I'm going to look to possibly stream more on a few other days, because one day a week is not enough, and I want to eventually make this a more constant thing instead of just a one-a-day thing. I'm looking at Mondays and I'm looking at Wednesdays. Sadly, on weekends I might be I have shit to do on weekends, and I don't think I can stream. But maybe I can sneak one on maybe on a Saturday or wait, maybe on a Sunday. Maybe a short stream to talk about maybe some current day shit, maybe news or something like that, or more of a current day thing discussion. As for Mondays, I was thinking as to doing the gaming streams on Mondays, and Wednesday I'm not sure what I was gonna do. Maybe Mondays and Wednesdays do gaming streams, or maybe if it's more popular to do talking streams, then I can do that on 2 days a week instead of one. But I will let you know as when October closes by and it gets closer by, I can then make that decision. But thank you for coming. Thank you to everyone who's in chat. Thank you, Diego and Miss Blackface, from being there since forever. Basically, you've been talking to me the whole time, and I appreciate that. I finished the script for a video. I'm going to record it later today before going to sleep, and then I'm going to have to edit that shit. It's about the whole leaflet AI thing, which is good that I left it for so long, because now Twitch announced that they were coming up with the AI thing, and everyone's getting pissy and angry about it. And I get to add that to the topic itself. But thank you for everything, and see you later, I guess. Let me not click the wrong button here because I always fuck it up. So bye. Thank you.